Good morning, everyone, and good morning, sir. Our topic is all about Lesson 2 Gender and Sexuality Across Time. Society has progressed so much in a way that information and knowledge is available to everyone. Historical accounts show that across time, humans' conception of gender and sexuality has also changed. According to the archaeological artifacts, reveal that during the dawn of civilization, societies have high regard to women. The concept of divine feminine has revealed that women are treated equally with men, making societies egalitarian. Men and women are equally given power and roles. So, however, during the agricultural era, when societies began to establish communities and tame rare cattle and stocks, have changed on how women and men were viewed. For the longest time thereafter, societies have privileged men over other genders, mainly because of the preferential given to them in the productive sphere or world of public work. On the other hand, women are viewed as capable only on reproductive affairs or world of home and taking care of children. So inana ba sa una na panahon, ang mga babae is naara sa balay, ang lalaki mo ay magngita og trabaho. So this given as an opportunity to examine our social and political conditions in more detail than when information was scarce and limited to only a few of individuals. So, patriarchy. From the Greek word patriarchos, which means the role of the father. It is a social system where men primarily holds power in the political and private spheres. In the social, legal, political, and economic spheres, men are expected to lead while women are expected to obey and relegated to house. So, di ba? Ang kuanra, ang mga lalaki lang ang kuan kibali tapos while ang mga babae naara sa balay permanente. So, patriarchy is viewed as a social construct, not as biological phenomenon, according to most sociologists. So, Friedrich Engels, a German philosopher and sociologist, argues that patriarchy came about when people started having private property instead of communal living. So, this means that in this social system, society is organized and maintained in a way that men rule over women are their children. This is because history proves that in the prehistoric hunter-gatherer tribes and civilization, they prioritize equality of all members, male and female. So, the development in the agriculture and domestication of animals lead to creating product surplus which allows people to have private property. Historical views on gender. The first one is the Greek. Aristotle, Plato, and other Greek philosophers viewed women as the inferior sex and are properties of men. So, Greek, they were forbidden to learn philosophy, politics, and science. Number 2, Egypt. Herodotus, Greek historian, observed the Egyptian civilization, citing the Egyptian women enjoy higher social status than Greek women because they can inherit property and engage in trade and politics. So Egypt, however, Greek influence quickly spread in Egypt through the conquest of Alexander the Great across Asia and Africa. China. Confucianism has stringent written rules that dictate how women should conduct themselves. 3 obediences and 4 virtues and precepts of women states that women should obey their father. When married, she is to obey husband. And when widow, she is to obey her son. So, sabotable naman ang sa China, no? Gendered bases in ancient patriarchal societies were very strict, heavily enforced, and often violent. So, imagine not being able to go to school just because you are a woman, not being able to express your opinion on important matters, even it concerns to your future, and not being able to say no to any man. So women have a long way since the ancient times through the feminist movement. However, patriarchy has taken on subtle forms of oppression that often go unnoticed, such as first is the sexism, prejudice, stereotypes, and discrimination based on sex. Gender pay gap. Men earn more than women. So, underrepresentation in politics, military, executive positions, and etc. Rape on women and the stigma making women ashamed to report the crime. Very conservative expectations on women on how they behave. Unrealistic depictions of women in fiction, often very sexualized. Women do more housework and childcare. So boys were trained to be leaders while women were trained to do house chores. Ana jud day sa una no. So, woman empowerment. Women's liberation movement, women's movement or feminism is a continuing series of social movements that aim to challenge the patriarchal society that creates these oppressive political structures, beliefs, and practices against women. So, it started at different decades and different countries. Some are far more advanced in their struggle, while others are still starting a movement. So, during the 19th and early 20th first wave, feminism spread across the Western countries as women demanded for the right to vote or participate in elections. In France, Simone de Beauvoir wrote a book entitled The Second Sex. In 1949, it outlined how the patriarchal society disadvantaged women. So by slowly raising her into submission and hindering their productivity and happiness by relegating them to house cleaning. Labor movement deliberation, these PMS formed in Europe and sought the right to education, work, and to vote in the 1940s. They won women's right to decide on their own bodies and sexualities. So, second wave feminism in 1960s, through the 80s, women drew attention to various social and excuse me, and cultural inequalities such as domestic violence. So, the 90s gave birth to the third wave and 2012 started the fourth wave. These movements show that there is still much to be done for women's rights. So, this liberation movement views the intersectionality of the economic status or class to patriarchy. The second wave, for example, marital rape, reproductive rights, wage inequality, and etc. So, the United Nations reports that women do more work than men because even when they work at the office, they are still expected to do household tasks. So, United Nations women state that women perform 66% of the world's work. So, this is because in agricultural countries, women participate in making the produce, but only the father or the male head of the family controls the income. Sabutan mo naman guys, no? So, here are a few salient points that feminism demands. First is the women's suffrage. Women were not allowed to vote before because they were viewed as irrational and temperamental and therefore not able to make rational decisions. So, This changed after World War I, 1914 to 1918, wherein women were uprooted from the household. So, number 2, equality in politics and society. 400 years 400 of years, women's voices were silenced, so society must make an effort to restore their rights. So, representation is very important for women so that their genuine concerns are heard in politics and society. Number 3, reproductive rights means that woman is in control of her body and she can decide for herself on what she sees is best for her. So, contraception, absorption, and other reproductive options should be available to women because it is their body. Number 4, domestic violence, such as marital rape and physical abuse, are often dismissed by society as part of a marriage. So, although we have RA 9262 or anti-violence against women and their children, our culture still dismiss such incidents as away mag-asawa. So, number 5, sexual harassment and sexual violence. This Center for Women's and Resources in the Philippines estimates that one woman or child is raped. So, number 6, other rights include the right to divorce their husband, the right to make decision on her pregnancy, equitable wages, and employment opportunity. Grabe jud di ay no, ang sa una nga panahon. Thank you for listening. That's all.